Hello, beautiful beings, love and laughter. This video is for the energy healers, light workers, anybody on their spiritual path who have either the mother wound or the father wound. Let's talk about this wound because it's pretty common for somebody to at least have one or the other. If you don't, that's pretty cool, honestly. But these wounds have a lot to teach us. And I've spent a long time hanging out in my mother wound. And, allowing myself to be a victim and feeling bad for myself and just sitting in it. And then with my own child, how I've examined my experience there was being in that mother wound of feeling abandoned and not getting the attention that I felt like I got or I wanted to get. I was living my wound through being a mother myself. And there came a point a couple months ago where I was just like, this is a false side of myself that I no longer want to live. I choose to be the mother I always wanted to have. And so through that decision, like it was just this light bulb. I think I was frustrated with my child and something just came over me and it's like, Tanya, this is your wounding. It's not really you. It's an illusion that you've masked yourself under. And I was like, what? And then it was like, what would you prefer? And I was like, well, that's easy. I want, to be a mother that feels good about her parenting and connects with her child, is nurturing, patient, and gentle, which are qualities that I'm a little limited on, but now that I've opened up to it, I'm finding that I do embody them more than I realized I did. It was just kind of dimmed down because I was living through the wounding part. And the more that we connect with this idea of thinking about our mother or father as a human being, and then maybe if we take a moment to close our eyes and visualize or feel into this image of them being a 3-year-old, and maybe we get an image of what they might have looked like, or maybe we just get a sense of their energy if you're not a visual person, or maybe you hear their little voice and understand that they were only living out your childhood the best they could because they were bringing forth what they were taught, what they experienced. And your childhood turned out the way it did because they were just doing the best they could do. Like, find a way to have, I know there's a lot of messed up father and mother wounds, and I'm not diminishing it or taking the power away here. I'm looking for a way to help heal the wound so we can move forward in a more empowered way. And so if we can take a look at our parents as beings here on this earth doing the best they could and taking the personality of what we experienced out of it, it adds a point of humility to the wound that removes some of the heaviness of it. We're able to look at them as a human being just doing what they were taught, what they were available for, what they could do, how they could show up for you in their own wounds. So I invite you, however hard the relationship was, I know there's a lot of parental situations where, you really just got a lot of traumas from them and a lot of negative energy. And it might really be hard to try and look at them from this perspective But even if just a little bit, you can visualize them as that little person who might have had the similar experience as you, that maybe, what were they feeling like? How do you think they were when they were experiencing that? You know, just let that in just a little bit. Even if it just strips off a couple layers, it's going to help you with it on a different level. So play with that a little bit. Just really play with cultivating that image of them being a kid. Maybe they're scared in a corner. Maybe they're crying. Maybe they're feeling abandoned or left out or diminished. And how do you think that they navigated that? What kind of emotions do you think they were feeling? It's a way of putting ourselves in their shoes a little bit and just taking a look at different perspectives of the person that caused the wounds. Maybe you just need to play around with it too in different perspectives. You know, maybe that first person seeing them as a child isn't ringing true for you or doing anything for you. Maybe hearing their little voice saying something might have more of an effect on you. Maybe it's, I don't know, play around with it. Play around with the senses. Whatever sense is more potent, strong for you, I'd play off that. I'm pretty visual and hearing. Hearing and seeing are strong aspects for me when I'm visualizing and feeling. So those are usually the ones that I would go to. But again, like I said, some people hear, some people touch. Maybe you're feeling it. Maybe you're just sensing it. Whatever works for you, find a way to sense them in a different way. And so then once we've had a moment to cultivate an image, an experience of them being wounded themselves as a little child, we can come back to ourselves and take a look at the wounding that we have with them and be like, oh, it wasn't as personal as I thought it was. It wasn't as geared towards me as I thought. It was a program that they had, a program that they learned, and they were just acting it out. And so I can change the wounding a little bit for myself. I can release a little bit on that, have a little bit of healing around it so I can move in a different direction and not let this wound control me. So then once we've done that, and now that we know what we don't want from the experience, from, you know, the parental experience that we had with either our mother or our father, or maybe both, now we get to create what we do want. What kind of motherly or fatherly situation would you have wanted, since you know that wasn't your ideal? What would you have wanted? Now, again, with my example, I wanted somebody who was gentle, nurturing, patient, easygoing, playful, and loving, and somebody who didn't necessarily let emotions rule them. Like when a child is in an emotional response, I wanted a mother who could hold space for that emotional reaction versus getting into the emotions with me and getting upset, which is part of a program that I was reliving out. And I'm glad that I got that awareness, because now when my child is having an emotional experience, I can hold more space for her to go through that without myself getting into it. I can have compassion for her, to move through her emotions at her own pace, for her own needs. Learning how to let her move through and process her emotions that's natural to her in the most healthy way for her. So if that means that she's got to go in her bedroom and cry it out, scream it out, pound on a pillow, whatever it is, I allow that. I accept it. I invite it. It happens. Or if she's hurt herself, you know what? I'm just a place where she can come hug. I don't add any more conversation, any of that. Granted, I had been a person who would do that, you know, have conversation, try to talk through it. But sometimes you just don't want the talking. You just want to be and be allowed to move through things. So I've learned that, because that's definitely what I wanted. I wanted that very much. So I'm embodying those aspects that I wanted. And that's the healing. That's the healing that takes place. Because now that wounding part has become your empowering part. Becomes a story that you get to share to help people with. It becomes a superpower. It becomes a place where you are uplifted. It becomes a place where you can teach other people, show them the way. You can use it for all sorts of things. You can teach your children better ways and heal the wounded relationship earlier on. I'm healing my mother wound in my 40s. I mean, it's been a gradual thing, but I feel like really the impact was made when I decided or had that revelation that I was outliving, or I was living that mother wound through my own mothering. And I was like, oh no, that's not what I choose anymore. There's a different way. There's a better way. And I've stepped into that, and that's what I'm starting to utilize more and more. That's a lot of the whittling down that I've been doing with the reactiveness, and just being more calm and relaxed mother, and being able to listen, and, you know, not being in a place where my environment inside of me is calm enough to be able to hold space for whatever I've got to move through with my child. So we're not both just swimming around in emotions and wounds. I'm holding space because I'm just relaxed in here, and then we can move through whatever we needed to move through. But if I'm in my wounding, I just keep the cycle going. But when I'm standing in that place of being that mother that I wish I had, I'm empowering the heck out of myself. I'm changing my fate. I'm changing my past. I'm allowing it to liberate me. All right. This is the place where we open up for conversation. You got any questions or comments? Put them down below. You like this video? Feel called? Like it. You feel called to subscribe? Subscribe. If not, no big deal. Just laid back around here, and that's what I want too. I've spent a lot of my life, and I know a lot of us have, being just no. We can learn how to channel our energy into peace and relaxation, and that's what I shall do. Anyways, thank you so much for showing up, beautiful beings, to receive the message. Tanya Rainbow Horse here. Until the next video, love and laughter.